Tell me about the strange and unusual factors that are involved in planning a wedding. You're talking about families who don't get along, dress drama, crazy bride, standout characters involved in the planning process. The bigger the wedding, the bigger the drama. That's always my philosophy. We run across all the time, when you say, Terry, families who have issues. I'm not one that recommends putting place cards at a dining table, because inevitably somebody is at the wrong table. We like to say, let's reserve tables, and we'll put 10 people at a table and let them sit wherever they want. It keeps, I've seen it come to blows. It's really, it really gets a little crazy after a while. There's a unique relationship that develops between a bride and her mother. A lot of times when they come to see us for the first time, you have to ask yourself, whose wedding is this? Because the mom is living her dream, and the daughter has her dream, and really more often than not, they're not on the same page. And so that's always a very sensitive and delicate situation that we have to tiptoe through. Sometimes it's wrought with landmines, and inevitably it comes to blows. Thankfully, normally not between us, but mothers and brides, you can almost guarantee, are going down for the count at least once during the ceremony. During the preparation. And also, maid of honor, especially if the maid of honor is single and this is like her best friend or her sister getting married. There's some unique relationships that involve that dynamic also. What do you think, Terry?
There's very much issues. Whenever you have a tremendous amount of human beings involved in any one challenge or one wedding or one beautiful event, you have several hundred opinions about what should be done, where it should be done. And as Janie was saying, a lot of mothers did not get the wedding that they wanted when they were younger, so they're living vicariously through their daughter and planning their original wedding, but it's actually their daughter's wedding.
What's been the most stressful part of wedding planning? Wow, the most stressful part. Well, I would have to say that it comes and goes, you know. Some parts are stressful and some parts aren't. But I think the day of the wedding, making sure that the bride is accommodated, making sure that all the bridesmaids' dresses are steamed, making sure that while one of us is taking care of the bride, the other person has our crew downstairs and everything's getting set up that needs to be set up. There's always a delivery man late or a flower that isn't exactly what they wanted, but we're great. We get it all done.
Where are the rings?
Where are the rings? Who's got the rings? Oh my God, the groomsman's got a black eye because he got in a fight on Bourbon Street last night. Believe me, I am great. I am great at covering up black eyes with makeup. I should market that. There are a lot of little stresses, but our job is to keep the day on an even keel. So pretty much, the bride may be stressed out, but we're good to go. I will tell you one story, though, that I thought I was going to pull my hair out. Absolutely big wedding at the Jesuit Church on Bourbon Street. It seats 900, so naturally there were 1,500 people at the wedding. We had them packed against the rafters. It was a stunning wedding, absolutely beautiful, packed to the gills. Well, front row, kid you not, front row is mom and dad, and then sitting right behind them is a relative of the groom, of the bride's parents. And as the priest says to the crowd, says to the bride and groom, please face each other and join your right hands, you hear from the second row, oh. And I looked, and here it comes again. Oh, and I said, what's going on? So I tiptoe up, and as I am halfway up the aisle, here comes one of my assistants meeting me at the aisle, and she grabs me by the shoulders and she shakes me and she says, the lady in the second row is going into labor. It was hysterical. So I've got one of my team members this was her first wedding. She was broken in. She's hysterical. I've got a lady in the front row who's going, oh, and it's getting louder and louder. So I go to I said, can I get you up? Can we go to the back? Everybody in the church is now quiet. The bride and groom are looking at each other, and we're dealing with this young woman who was at least 12 months pregnant. I've never seen a woman so pregnant in my whole life. So I said, come on, let's get you up. Let's go to the back of the room. I can't move. So what are you going to do? She's not leaving. So I send my employee and say, go ahead back, go to the back desk, tell the police officers who are the police escort, we're going to need them to take this lady to the hospital, and see if you can get a wheelchair from the back of the church and bring it up. So she's crying, Brian, Brian. Well, I don't know who Brian is, except I'm about to find out, because down comes the best man off the altar, scales the communion rail. I mean, nice little communion rail, jumps over the communion rail, runs to his bride, says, Greg, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to stand, man. She's having the baby. So we get her up and we bring her down the aisle, and the wheelchair squeaked. It was like you can't write this stuff. Squeak, 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 squeak up the church. That's echoing everywhere. We get her in, we get her out. She's finally, and the best part of this whole thing is that the priest, who I thought was going to be insulted, after he hears the backdoor church, he turns to he turns to Greg and he turns to Alicia and he goes, repeat after me. And he just picks up with the whole thing, and everybody turns around. It was spectacular, but that was a stressful moment. That was a very stressful moment. What challenges do we face with planning weddings? Terry, what do you think? Biggest challenges?
One of the biggest challenges is making sure our vendors are in place and the timing is in place. We've discussed many a time, if a vendor is late, it really puts us on edge, because we don't want anything to go wrong. This is the bride and groom's day. This is their memory for hopefully the rest of their life. So we don't want anything to go wrong. So our cell phones are constantly in our hands. We are constantly dialing our vendors, making sure that they're going to be there on time, and that they have the proper equipment, whatever their orders are to be. So those are pretty stressful. There's some things that you just cannot control. One wedding I had, a couple was getting married under a tent in this beautiful, lovely setting behind an oak, in front of an oak tree, and it was gorgeous and gorgeous. And right as they were saying their I do's, a mother and father duck came flying through, squawking to the hilt, screaming, 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 and the poor bride and groom didn't get to say their I do's until the mom and dad duck decided to go and get their babies that were like 3 feet from the bride and groom's feet, because mom and dad duck decided that the bride and groom were going to hurt the babies. So they were coming in squawking, 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 and to get the babies so they could get this to save the babies, but it didn't save the wedding. However, it was a great memory, I believe, for the entire family, and I believe that they'll be telling that till the end of their days.
The next question is, what is our ultimate goal when planning a wedding? The ultimate goal is to create a beautiful memory. The ultimate goal is to take the journey of two people who are getting married and turn that journey into something that they will always cherish, never forget. It's about fun, it's about laughter, it's about romance, it's about getting the job done for Terry and I. We want it to be seamless, we want it to flow, we want the bride and groom to remember it, we want every guest at that wedding to remember it. So for us, the ultimate goal is to create a beautiful, lasting, heartwarming memory, something that they'll talk about forever. The next question is, why should you pick us to be wedding planners? On whose wedding is it anyway?
Because we're crazy. We're crazy wedding planners. That's why you should pick us. We're crazy and we're a lot of fun.
And I say it's because we can get anything done. Anything. You send us the bride and groom, we'll plan the wedding. There's absolutely no gauntlet that you throw down that we won't be able to pick up and run with. Thanks, bye.
Thank you. Our pleasure.